I'd probably have gone in there even if I didn't have a weapon. That's what a 10-year-old says. I could beat up a lion. I could fight a lion if I had to.
In a fair fight. Oh, my dad.
What happens when Ricky Dye, comedy's king of brutal honesty, steps onto live TV with a golden chance to roast Donald Trump? Absolute mayhem. Ricky didn't just tease, he went full savage mode, tearing into Trump's wildest tweets, infamous, hair, and every ego trip in between, leaving even the camera crew wheezing with laughter. But here's the real kicker. Did Trump clap back, or just silently add Ricky to his list of sworn enemies? This roast was hotter than a White House scandal, and twice as unforgettable.
In America, it's that 32% who say they're the disenfranchised, forgotten. You want to go, no. What's happened is, when you've had privilege so long, equality feels like oppression. They're basically saying, some people want some of our equality.
Yes.
Well, of course they do.
Yes.
That's it.
Damn them, damn their eyes. And one of them ended up president. That's the ultimate offence.
I'm nearly numb.
Just like that, the world watched Ricky Dye do what he does best. Drag someone through the mud with that signature smirk and a mischievous twinkle in his eye. But this time, his target wasn't just anyone. It was the man, the myth, the orange legend himself, Donald J. Trump.
Eva Longoria and America Ferrera aren't just beautiful, talented actresses. They're also two people who your future president, Donald Trump, can't wait to deport.
You'd think that after years of relentless roasting, savage ridicule, and becoming the internet's favorite political meme, Donald Trump would have developed some kind of indestructible armor, like a political cockroach that just won't die no matter how hard the world stomps. He's weathered it all. Impeachment trials, Twitter bans, scandals that would obliterate any other politician, and a non-stop barrage of late-night monologues ripping him to shreds. And yet, somehow, he's still standing.
Here is what Gervais specifically said during that interview. Why were people believing the most opulent billionaire on the planet when he said the problem was the liberal elite in Hollywood? I'm thinking, why are they falling for this? Why are they falling for Drain the Swamp? He is the swamp. That observation is 100% spot on. Anyone who believed that Donald Trump was somehow going to come in and drain the swamp was absolutely delusional.
But nope. Turns out Trump's skin is still paper thin, and when Ricky hit the stage, he didn't just tease, he came out swinging like a stand-up assassin with a personal vendetta. The British comic, notorious for his no-holds-barred golden, Globe's takedowns, unleashed punchline after punchline, and let's just say Trump took them with all the grace of a guy who genuinely thinks hairspray, spray tans, and a McDonald's diet are the keys to immortality. Ricky wasn't just roasting, he was flambeing, serving up jokes hotter than a fresh bucket of KFC straight from the fryer. And if there's one thing we've learned about Trump, it's this. He craves attention, just not when he's the one getting deep.
I worked in an office for 10 years, that's where The Office sort of came from, but I also watched a lot of those quaint docu-soaps of the 90s when an ordinary guy got his 15 minutes of fame, and that was it. But now fame's a different beast. Now it's insatiable. People live their life like an open wound to be famous. They do anything to be famous. They do bad things to be famous, and they're rewarded for it. Since The Office, we've had things like, Big Brother and The Apprentice. People get on The Apprentice by saying, I would destroy anyone who moves. It's that sort of crazy.
If you're enjoying this, hit that subscribe button because it only gets wilder from here. First, let's talk about Ricky Dye, a man who's built his entire career on one razor-sharp skill, saying exactly what everyone's thinking but too scared to say out loud. The Golden Globes? A celebrity graveyard thanks to Ricky, where Hollywood's biggest egos get humbled and leave wondering if staying home would have saved their pride. And now, he set his sights on the former leader of the free world. And folks, it was a full-blown comedic massacre. The jokes came in hotter than Trump's spray tan under studio lights, with savage digs at his flexible relationship with the truth, shots at his so-called negotiation skills. The kind that involve over-promising, under-delivering, and blaming literally anyone else. And oh, he didn't miss that infamous moment when Trump floated injecting disinfectant as a cure. That one, it brought the house down.
I think, what if we just told him he got in? So he gets up every day right, and he does a little address, and we go, yeah, it's brilliant, I'm the president hybrid, and they're all extras.
Right.
They're all extras, and he just never knows. He was never president.
And we're filming it and watching it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
It'd be amazing.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
I think he'd be up for it.
I bet he would.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't even have to tell him, right? You would just say...
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a year in, you'd say, here's the thing, it's been fake, but the ratings are huge. And he'd go, very good, I'll stop.
And the best part? Trump will absolutely act like none of it ever happened. That's his signature move. Just like he pretends he never lost the election, never did anything wrong, and that his spray tan isn't dialed up to nuclear orange. The man lives in a reality of his own making, where facts are optional, accountability doesn't exist, and truth is whatever he decides it is. And honestly, that's what makes him such an easy target. Ricky Dye, the undisputed heavyweight champ of comedic annihilation, didn't just roast Trump, he vaporized him, leaving behind nothing but smoke, ashes, and the kind of awkward silence that makes even the camera crew nervous. Let's be real, roasting Trump isn't hard. The material practically begs to be mocked. Just reading his tweets out loud feels like stand-up gold. And Melania? Let's just say she might be one uncomfortable laugh away from rethinking everything.
Angry. I was angry. Yes, I am angry. I'm angry. He's an angry person.
Every time Melania is caught on camera reacting to Trump's antics, it's like watching a hostage blink in Morse code. The internet eats it up. And if we're being honest, she probably does too. But let's be real. This wasn't just a roast. It was a full-blown public service announcement. Because when reality gets this absurd, the only sane response is to laugh. And Ricky, oh Ricky, gave us enough comedy fuel to laugh straight through to the next election cycle. He didn't just torch Trump, he came for the whole circus, mocking even those bold or foolish enough to still endorse him, turning every punchline into a moment of cathartic, chaotic truth.
Hi guys, Ricky G here, wellness and beauty influencer. As a celebrity, I know all about stuff, like science and politics. So trust me when I tell you who you should vote for. If you don't vote the right way, that's like a hate crime. It makes me sad and angry, and I'll leave the country. And you don't want that.
And then came Trump's reaction, the kind of meltdown you try to hide but just can't. You ever see a man desperately trying to keep his cool while visibly short-circuiting? That was it. The signature tight-lipped, arms-crossed stance that screams, "I'm absolutely furious but can't clap back without making it worse." All while you know he's mentally drafting a furious, all-caps Twitter rant. Even though, let's be real, Twitter isn't even an option for him anymore. But don't worry, Truth Social. Oh, that app got lit up like Times Square. Ricky didn't just roast Trump. He slow-cooked him, seasoned him with Himalayan salt, and served him up on a silver platter, each joke laced with a brutal kernel of truth. That's the magic of a Ricky takedown. It's not just mockery, it's a spotlight on the absurdity. Like when Trump held up a Bible outside a church like it was a weird product placement. Or when he boldly claimed he's done more for America than Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, the same Lincoln who, freed the slaves. That's historical fan fiction at its finest, right up there with Titanic pretending Jack couldn't fit on the door. And we can't skip the Trump rally classics. 2-hour rants full of empty bluster, bizarre tangents about windmills, and somehow spinning the idea of basic human rights into the enemy. Ricky saw all that and turned it into pure comedic gold, making sure every punchline hit just as hard as the truth behind it.
David Brent, he was a sort of narcissistic man-child, but of the old variety. He can't survive in today's world of narcissistic man-children. Mentioning no names, right?
Of course, you can't roast Donald Trump without diving headfirst into his business ventures. Or more accurately, his trail of bankruptcies dressed up as success stories. And Ricky? He went in like a Michelin star chef ripping apart a gas station sandwich. First stop, Trump University, the crown jewel of corporate scams. A masterclass in charging people thousands to learn absolutely nothing. Think Ivy League, but with worse branding and zero credentials. Imagine shelling. Out big bucks for a real estate degree from the guy who couldn't even keep a casino afloat. And speaking of casinos, how do you lose money running casinos? That's like going broke selling oxygen. The house is literally built to win, yet Trump somehow flipped the ultimate business cheat code into a flaming financial disaster. Ricky laid it all bare, joke after joke, turning Trump's empire into comedy rubble with nothing but facts, flair, and flawless punchlines.
My favorite reality show right now is the Trump drama that's going on in politics. What's your take on the Donald?
I thought it was a joke. I thought when he first announced, I thought he's having a laugh, he's doing it for publicity, and now he's ahead, isn't he? Now he's
number one in the polls.
And then there's Trump steaks, because nothing screams fine dining like overpriced cuts of mystery meat slapped with a gold-lettered name and sold like they're the filet mignon of failure. If you've ever wondered what pure regret tastes, like, just ask anyone who bit into one. Spoiler, even Arby's would have passed. Then came Trump Airlines, a venture that had all the stability of a paper plane in a hurricane, crashing and burning financially long before it could even taxi. Next to real airlines, add in the vodka brand nobody drank, and the board game that made Monopoly look like the Wolf of Wall Street, and you've got a portfolio of flops so extensive it's almost impressive. How can one man fail this hard at capitalism and still call himself a business genius? Talent. And of course, the hair. Oh, Ricky didn't need to say much because its very existence is already a punchline. But when he did, it was glorious. Something about it looking like a feral squirrel trying to claw its way out of a tanning bed. Honestly, that checks out. It defies gravity, wind, and basic human decency. At this point, it's practically a sentient being surviving hurricanes, scandals, and sweat-drenched rallies under the Florida sun. That thing's so persistent, it might just be eyeing a 2028 campaign of its own.
I like it, but Trump has more in common with David Brent than he has JFK. You know, he's a man who wants to be loved, who wants to be famous. You know, he was the host of The Apprentice. Yeah. You know, and he's clearly more ruthless than David Brent. And I think that's the difference. It's just harder. It's harder to have sympathy with him, I think.
But let's get real. By now, Trump's ego has taken more hits than a boxer's ribs, and yet he keeps marching on like he's the heroic lead in some over-the-top action movie. The twist? Most people see him less as the action star and more as the punchline villain in a never-ending comedy special. He treats every bit of criticism like it's part of some grand conspiracy, because in his world, if people are laughing, it must be coordinated. There's just no way they could find him genuinely ridiculous, right? And Ricky? Ricky handed us all a front row seat we didn't even know we needed. Because here's the truth. Trump isn't just a political figure anymore. He's an entire entertainment franchise. Part reality TV rerun, part unintentional stand-up comedy, and part meltdown-prone social media spectacle.
Crazy right now in the States. It's so divided. Have you seen that reflected in the audiences that you perform in front of?
No, I haven't. But I don't get very political. Certainly not party political. I do it implicitly. I talk about stupidity, misunderstanding, arrogance, lies, all these things that are part of politics.
Trump's ability to say the most wildly incorrect things with total chest-thumping confidence would almost be impressive, if it weren't so absolutely terrifying. This is the same man who once claimed windmills cause cancer. Cancer. You could show him a blue sky and he'd swear it's red, but only because it's being censored by the deep state. And Ricky? Oh, Ricky knew exactly what to do with that goldmine of nonsense. He didn't just roast Trump, he slow-cooked him to comedic perfection. Every joke expertly seasoned with sarcasm and stunned disbelief, plated on a silver platter for the world to feast on. Because while Trump might see himself as some kind of unstoppable force, Ricky reminded us all that, at the end of the day, he's just another punchline in the never-ending sitcom that is American politics. And honestly, that's the kind of humor the world desperately needs right now. The cherry on top, Trump will 100% pretend none of it ever happened. Classic.
He wasn't getting any attention. He couldn't stand it. And so then the Adderall McFlurry kicked in and he went right on.
At the end of the day, this wasn't just a roast. It was a full-blown public service, because sometimes the only way to survive the madness is to laugh right through it. In a world where reality often feels more absurd than fiction, comedians like Ricky are our much-needed escape, offering a moment of collective catharsis in the chaos. And Ricky, oh Ricky, delivered enough razor-sharp material to keep us laughing all the way to the next election cycle. No teleprompter, no script, just raw, unfiltered truth wrapped in perfectly timed punchlines. And as long as Trump keeps pretending, the jokes will keep writing themselves, louder, funnier, and more necessary than ever.